Hey guys, I'm Alastair, and this is the Brooks Hyperion Max 3. The Hyperion Max 3 is really the super trainer that I think a lot of people out there have been waiting for, myself included. Brooks have been teasing a shoe like this for quite a while now, and they've definitely hit the mark with this one. If you caught my review of the Hyperion Max 2, this shoe here, well, then you'll already know I really didn't like that shoe. It just didn't have a really comfortable ride. It didn't have that nice smooth transition from heel or midfoot to toe takeoff, and it just really fell flat for me. But this one here, Brooks have been doing a lot of work, and this feels absolutely nothing like the previous version, and I mean that in the best possible way. All right, let's start with the key specifications. They cost $200, and I will let you know by the end of this review if I believe they're worth that price tag. Bear in mind, this is a super trainer, so they are generally around $200, and that's because they are so versatile. They can replace so many shoes in your running rotation. They weigh 10.4 ounces or 295 grams. That's for a size US men's 9, my pair. That is heavier than the previous version, by the way. They have a drop of 6 millimeters from heel to toe, and that's a stack height of around 45 millimeters under the heel and 37 millimeters under the forefoot. The upper is using a very lightweight and very breathable mesh, more breathable than a previous version, by the way. And it is now a one-piece sock-like fit. So it's got that kind of burrito feel where it just wraps around your foot, hugs it in a real comforting way, and also does a great job of locking your heel down in a shoe. There's also a new finger loop at the heel to make them easier to slip on. Now the midsole is using a dual density foam, so two different foams. First off, the DNA Flash version 2, and also the 100% PIBA DNA Gold foam, which gives this shoe incredible cushioning and fantastic bounce back. So you get response, but you also get the cushioning and protection underfoot from such a high stack. With dual density foam, it gives you a nice soft landing and a nice springy takeoff or pop. So it really is the best of both worlds. That's what you need for a super trainer like this. It needs to be really protective underfoot, but it also needs to be snappy and fast for those faster sessions. It also has a nylon speedboard plate, which you can see here, and that just allows you to store more energy when you flex the shoe, and then it kind of takes off when you release, giving you extra forward propulsion. The outsole is very durable for the most part. Can't see much wear so far. There are sections here where you can see exposed foam, but because the outsole is extruded enough away from that foam, it doesn't really affect durability or performance on that section. And it also has rapid roll rocker geometry. So all that is the shape of the midsole and how it looks like a rocking chair or a rocker. What that does is help smooth out transition from heel landing to toe takeoff, making your running stride feel a lot more efficient, a lot smoother, and you're less likely going to be picking up injuries from jolting motions as you run. That's what rockers do. When it comes to sizing and fit, they are true to size and they have a medium width. They do feel quite airy as well, so if you do have high volume feet, I think you might get along pretty well in these shoes too. And it is very breathable, so you get a nice amount of airflow going through the shoe, helping regulate temperature within it. There's plenty of padding around the collars and the heel counter, so very comfortable and soft to slip your foot into. Makes it a great shoe for long distance running or slower recovery runs where you need to get your base mileage for the week, but you just want to get that active recovery whilst you're running. They're really good for that. And it's got an interesting asymmetrical tongue, which you can see here. Now, even though this is a one-piece mesh upper, the tongue is gusseted. Probably a support feature to help make your foot feel like it's being supported and give the shoe a little bit more structure and wrap around your foot. And the tongue does have a lot of padding as well, so you don't get any lace bite from above it. If you're enjoying this review so far, please give the video a like, share it with a friend, and comment on this video. I really appreciate it when you guys do that. Lets me know you're listening, you're watching, you're engaged. And also, it's great to get your input on these shoes that I'm reviewing. If you've got experience with them, or maybe you've got a question that I haven't covered in this review, just ask it in the comments. I always reply to everyone. Get the conversation going down below in the comments. Let's make this channel more of a community. And be sure to subscribe to my channel for more running shoe reviews just like this one. I always keep things genuine, honest, and as insightful as possible to help you decide whether or not the shoe I'm currently reviewing is going to be best for you and your needs. But as always, if I miss something, just drop a question down below in the comments and I'll get back to you. All right, you made it to my performance review. Congratulations. I'm going to start by talking about the feel or the ride of this shoe, because for me that's really the most special thing, and it's the most important thing in this update in my mind, because I just really didn't like the previous version. It just felt really clunky in terms of the transition or the roll in the stride. It just felt like you kind of slapping the ground, and I think that's mostly because of the foam that was being used, DNA version 2 I believe it was, but also the geometry of that midsole. There's just no rocker around about here towards the rear of the shoe. It's way too far back on the design, but also at the front. Something was just way off with it, and it just led to a very uncomfortable ride, especially for a shoe that was designed to go fast. Just didn't work for me. When it comes to the ride on the new Hyperion Max 3, well, it's completely different. It's crazy cushioned underfoot, incredibly bouncy and responsive. So any force that you put into this foam, you do get it back in energy return and forward propulsion. Combine that with the nylon speed vault plate that is incorporated within that midsole, then you just get a really snappy, extremely cushioned running shoe. And that really kind of defines a super trainer really for me. Really everything you want if you were to make the perfect running shoe is kind of what a super trainer is. But because the perfect shoe doesn't exist and you can't have one shoe be the best at everything, it is very good at most things. With that said, I always tend to recommend going for a specialized running shoe for the type of running or training that you need to do. So if you need to have a fast running shoe that doesn't have a carbon fiber plate in, then you really want to be looking at a tempo running shoe or a speed training shoe. If you need a bouncy, carbon plated, tough to flex shoe for racing, then you've got to have a carbon fiber plated race day shoe like the ones up here. Again, if you want a highly cushioned shoe for doing your recovery runs, long distance, slower type runs, then you need a max cushion daily trainer. My point is, super trainers can do all that, but they don't do each one of those tasks quite as well as a specialized shoe. So you've really got to weigh that up when deciding whether or not to buy a more expensive super trainer like this. The new rocker geometry works so much better than before, and I think a lot of the reasoning as to why that's happening is actually this dual density foam, which has a lot of give. It does absorb a lot of shock, and that kind of helps initiate its own rocker towards the heel. So you're not hitting almost like a hard wedge like you were on the previous version. You're actually just creating that really soft landing no matter where you land because of the foam. And then of course you flex that nylon plate, you get more of that soft foam at the forefoot, and then you get a really nice smooth roll toe takeoff. It really is fantastic. It is a heavier shoe than the previous version though. It now weighs 10.4 ounces, and I believe it was 9.1 ounces for the previous version. So that's something like 10% increase in weight, which actually is quite a lot, if I'm being honest. Runners who are much lighter are going to notice that more than mid-weight to heavyweight runners for sure. It will feel more bulky for you. And if you are running in certain situations where maybe you need to be nimble, you need to be running in between people, if you are running in the city, stuff like that, you may feel this shoe is a little bit too unstable for you because the stack height is so high. But also you've got the bulk of a slightly heavier shoe that just makes it hard to control if you are doing tight corners like that. That said, it does have a very wide footprint, so that kind of makes up a little bit for the high stack in terms of how much stability you can get out of the shoe. If you didn't have this wide platform here, this shoe would be really, really unstable. So Brooks has done a really good job of mitigating that instability by making the footprint much wider. Traction has been fantastic, no complaints there. Like I mentioned before, the rubber compound sticks out away from the exposed foam sections. That means that you don't end up touching tarmac or concrete on this section, where you would definitely get less durability and less traction if you were to have contact with the ground on this section. But that doesn't happen because the rubber's extruded enough. Sure, with time, as this rubber does degrade and wear down, you are definitely going to start seeing wear on this section here and a lot less traction. So just be aware of that, but so far the rubber compound seems to be very hard and very durable, but I know at some point that's going to change. So, is the Brooks Hyperion Max 3 worth that massive $200 price tag? Well, yes, I really do believe it is, but I believe it is not for everyone, but only the people who wish to swap out maybe 2 or 3 shoes from their training regimen for one super trainer. I don't think it's worth buying this shoe as another shoe to fit into your rotation, because although it does everything very well, you're probably going to be better placed at getting that one specific shoe for that specific use case that performs better. If you are looking to get rid of some shoes, save yourself some money in the long run, then buying this super trainer is definitely going to be worth it for you. It runs fast, it runs cushioned. If you are running those slower recovery jogs, or you just want to increase your distance, maybe you're training for a marathon, this is a fantastic shoe for marathon trainers out there, because it does allow you to do so many different types of runs. And it's a shoe where you feel like you can just keep going. And that's really what you want for motivation when you are training for a marathon. You don't want to feel like it's too much of a slog, because there's a hell of a lot of training you got to put in for such a race. So a shoe like this that's very comfortable, breathable, airy, has a great fit, and is fast, energetic, springy, bouncy, and fun. So yes, $200, do it. You're not going to be disappointed with this one, I promise. Well, thanks again for watching this review. Really hope you enjoyed it. Remember to like the video, comment down below, and subscribe for more running shoe reviews just like this one. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Peace.